Picture this. You're sitting at home, minding your own business, when a letter drops through your letterbox. It's from your insurance company. And they're raising your premium significantly. You haven't had an accident. You haven't made a claim. Your no-claims bonus is spotless. But somehow, they know exactly how you drive. They know you accelerate hard pulling out of your road on Tuesday mornings. They know you braked sharply on the A40 last November. They know more about your driving habits than your own wife does. Sound far-fetched? It's not. It's happening right now, to British drivers up and down the country. And here's the twist: the device doing the spying? It's not something the police put on your car. It's not a tracker your employer fitted. It was installed at the factory, by the car manufacturer themselves. It's your car's built-in modem. And the shocking truth is, most drivers have absolutely no idea it even exists. But a growing number of smart British motorists have figured it out. And they're taking drastic action, physically disabling, removing, or killing that modem. They're done being tracked without their knowledge. Done having their personal data sold to third parties. Done letting manufacturers, insurers, and data brokers profit from their every journey. Today, we're diving deep into the connected car data scandal. We're going to explain exactly what your car knows about you, who it's telling, why it matters, and what you can legally do about it here in the UK. By the end of this video, you might just be reaching for a screwdriver yourself. Let's get into it. Right, let's start from the beginning, because a lot of people hear car modem and think it's something to do with their phone's Bluetooth connection or the USB port in the center console. It's not. It's something far more significant. A built-in car modem is a cellular module, essentially a tiny SIM card-equipped computer, embedded directly into your vehicle's hardware. It connects your car to mobile networks, just like your smartphone does. Except unlike your phone, you didn't set it up, you can't easily switch it off, and in many cases, you can't access its settings at all. These modems started appearing in mass-market cars in the mid-2010s. At first, they were marketed as brilliant convenience features. Remote start. Real-time traffic updates. Over-the-air software updates. Emergency call systems, the eCall feature, which became mandatory in all new cars sold in the EU from 2018. Sounds great, right? But here's what the brochure didn't mention quite so loudly: that modem isn't just receiving data. It's transmitting it. Constantly. Every time you drive, and sometimes even when you don't, your car is sending information back to the manufacturer's servers. And the list of what gets collected will make your jaw drop. Modern connected vehicles collect data through AI systems, GPS trackers, inbuilt software, in-car cameras, sensors, and other devices, gathering enormous amounts of information about a driver's habits and their life more generally. Information is also routinely processed about passengers and other road users. We're talking about your location, tracked in real time. Your speed, not just average speed, but moment-to-moment speed data. Hard braking events. Hard acceleration. How sharply you take corners. When you leave home. When you return. What time you typically make long motorway trips. Whether you're driving late at night. Whether you regularly drive in high-crime postcodes. How often you use your seatbelt. Whether you leave the engine idling. According to IHS Automotive, the average car will produce up to 30 terabytes of data every day. 30 terabytes. Per day. That's more data than most people generate on their phones in a lifetime. And all of it is being sent back to someone. The question is, who? This is where things get really uncomfortable. The obvious first answer is the manufacturer. Ford, Volkswagen, BMW, Stellantis, Toyota, they all receive your vehicle data. They use some of it for genuinely useful things, like understanding how components perform in real-world conditions, diagnosing faults remotely, and pushing software updates. Fine. Most people can get their head around that. But then it gets murky. This data is shared among the various players that make up this dynamic sector, such as OEMs, dealerships, financiers, car hire companies, insurers, and device manufacturers. Depending on the vehicle, the data can travel across the world. Read that again. Dealerships, financiers, insurers, third-party device manufacturers. Your car's data isn't staying in one place, it's moving through a complex web of organizations, many of which you've never heard of and certainly never consented to share your information with. In the United States, there was a massive scandal in 2024 when the New York Times revealed that General Motors had been sharing detailed driving behavior data with insurance companies, without clearly informing customers. The data was being used to assess risk and, in some cases, raise premiums or cancel policies. The story caused uproar. GM eventually shut down the program after the backlash. But here in the UK, the same pipelines exist. And while GDPR provides some protections, the reality on the ground is far messier than the regulations suggest. There are many examples of a previous owner remaining connected to a car weeks and months after selling it, along with instances of when dealers and manufacturers were less than forthcoming in the battle to disconnect the car. Think about that. You sell your car. The new owner drives it. But the old owner, perhaps you, perhaps someone before you, is still connected to it. Still potentially receiving location data. Still linked to it in the manufacturer's system. That is a catastrophic privacy failure. And it's not just private vehicles. Data can be harvested by rental vehicles, pool cars, and those in car-sharing clubs. Sync your smartphone or use an aftermarket app, and that knowledge is shared with the manufacturer and/or third party. Every time you plug your phone into a hire car's infotainment system. Every time you connect via Bluetooth in a company pool vehicle. You are potentially leaving a data trail that has nothing to do with you personally owning that car. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, because this is what's really driving British motorists to take action. Insurance. British car insurance premiums have gone absolutely through the roof in recent years. The UK has some of the most expensive car insurance in Europe. Drivers are under pressure. And insurers are increasingly hungry for data that helps them profile risk more accurately, which ultimately means identifying people they'd rather not insure, or insuring them at much higher rates. Enter telematics. Usage-based insurance. Pay-how-you-drive schemes. These have been around in various forms for years. Remember the little black box you might have had as a young driver? That was the original telematics product. You agreed to it. You opted in. But what's happening now is different. Manufacturers are exploring commercial relationships with insurers that would allow them to share data from the factory-installed modem without the driver necessarily opting in any meaningful way. You might have agreed to data sharing when you ticked a box in the infotainment setup menu, or when you signed a 47-page privacy policy that no human being has ever read cover to cover. Data privacy concerns are the #1 barrier stopping UK motorists from embracing usage-based insurance, with 62% of UK motorists worried about sharing their personal location information. Only 19% of UK drivers have ever used a UBI product, and yet the infrastructure to collect this data exists in millions of cars already on the road. The data is being gathered whether you're in that 19% or not. Only 32% of drivers currently allow or would feel comfortable sharing their driving data with insurers. But comfort and consent are two very different things from what's actually happening in the background. The really chilling scenario is this: you've never signed up for telematics insurance. You think your data is private. But because of data sharing arrangements between your car manufacturer and a data broker, your driving profile has been built, sold, and is being used to influence your premium, and you have no idea. Class actions have been brought against vehicle manufacturers over claims that they have unlawfully collected and sold driving data, including to insurers to help them set premium rates. It's already in the courts in America. It's only a matter of time before it lands here too. Here's where British drivers have a card to play, and it's a powerful one. GDPR. The UK General Data Protection Regulation. It is some of the strongest data protection legislation in the world, and it covers you. In data protection terms, location data, combined with other information such as the car registration number and serial number, is likely to be personal data if it can be linked back to an individual. And if it's personal data, GDPR kicks in. Fully. Hard. Under UK GDPR, you have the right to know what data is being collected about you. You have the right to know who it's being shared with. You have the right to request that data is deleted. And in many cases, you have the right to object to your data being processed in certain ways. The problem is enforcement. The Information Commissioner's Office, the ICO, is the body responsible for upholding these rights in the UK. And while they've been active on some digital privacy issues, the connected car space has been relatively under-policed so far. Michael Alsem-Geest, Chief Digital Officer at LeasePlan, calls for greater clarity. It is madness that, in times of GDPR, your car can still collect virtually all the data it wants. Drivers need to be much better able to give informed consent or not to collect data from their vehicles. That's an industry insider saying it openly. The consent mechanisms currently in place are not fit for purpose. The data disclosures buried in manufacturer privacy policies are not written to inform drivers, they're written to protect manufacturers. And there's a new layer of complexity, the EU AI Act, which came into force on the 1st of August, 2024, seeks to address the risks that AI poses to individuals' fundamental rights, including the right to non-discrimination and the right to respect for private life. Whilst the EU AI Act is not specific to the automotive industry, many automotive AI systems are likely to fall in scope. So the legal landscape is shifting. But in the meantime, a lot of British drivers have decided not to wait for regulators to catch up. They're taking matters into their own hands. Privacy is one thing. But there's another reason smart drivers are thinking twice about their car's modem, and that's cybersecurity. Your car's modem doesn't just transmit data to the manufacturer. It's a live, always-on connection to the internet. And like any internet-connected device, it can be hacked. Connected cars are essentially digital platforms with multiple entry points for attackers. Sensors present their own set of risks. Cameras, radar, LiDAR, and GPS can be manipulated, creating confusion for driver assistance systems. Once inside a vehicle, attackers can move deeper by exploiting the CAN bus, which connects key systems such as brakes, steering, and acceleration. The CAN bus. That's the central nervous system of your car. The network that controls everything from your engine management to your brakes. If someone gets into your car's systems remotely, through the modem connection, they could potentially interfere with those systems. We're not talking science fiction here. Security researchers have demonstrated this repeatedly. Even routine updates are potential hazards. Compromised firmware can spread through over-the-air updates, affecting large numbers of vehicles at once. The supply chain also adds complexity. A vulnerability in a single third-party component or API can impact multiple manufacturers and models. And the vulnerabilities aren't hypothetical. The PWN2 Own Automotive 2025 competition demonstrated nearly 50 vulnerabilities, ranging from infotainment units to EV chargers. 50 vulnerabilities. In one competition. In 2025. A study found that a majority of drivers believe their vehicles send data to both manufacturers and outside companies, with awareness highest among owners of newer cars. Most drivers want information about what data is collected and where it goes, yet very few said they have received that information. The awareness is growing. The demand for transparency is growing. But the answers from manufacturers remain frustratingly vague. And for drivers who've had enough of vague answers, disconnecting the modem is starting to look like the only reliable solution. Right, let's talk practicalities. Because killing the modem sounds dramatic, and in some cases it literally is, but there's a spectrum of options available to British drivers, ranging from the simple to the surgical. Option 1. Change your data sharing settings. This is the first thing to try. Most connected cars have data sharing settings buried somewhere in the infotainment system or in the manufacturer's companion app. Ford, for example, lets you adjust connectivity settings through Ford Pass. Ford UK notes that disconnecting the vehicle, or making changes to data sharing settings, may impact the quality or availability of certain connected services. So you may lose some features. Remote diagnostics. Live traffic data. Some emergency services integration. That's the trade-off. Some manufacturers require you to contact them directly to fully opt out of data collection. Stellantis, the group behind Vauxhall, Jeep, and Fiat among others, requires drivers to make an old-fashioned phone call to request what they call cancellation for privacy reasons. And even then, you lose access to software updates and connected features. Option 2, pull the fuse. This one's popular because it requires no technical knowledge beyond finding the right fuse. Every car has a fuse box, usually under the dashboard or in the engine bay, and every electrical component is fed through a fuse. Find the fuse that powers the telematics modem system and pull it. The challenge is identifying the right fuse. Modern car fuse boxes are notoriously cryptic. The labeling isn't always clear. And pulling the wrong fuse can disable other systems. You'll need your owner's manual, a decent fuse diagram, or a good forum for your specific car model to identify the correct one. Option 3, physical modem removal. This is the nuclear option, and it's what's generating the most online discussion. The modem is a physical module, usually located somewhere in the dashboard, behind the center console, or in the boot area near the communications antenna connections. With the right technical knowledge, you can locate it and physically remove it. On some vehicles, the best approach is to get under the dash, remove one of the electronic boxes, remove the modem card, and put the module back. Just pulling the fuse apparently disables a bunch of other navigation and infotainment features, so disconnecting the modem itself is the cleaner solution. Some drivers are finding the modem and simply disconnecting its antenna rather than removing the whole unit, which stops it from connecting to mobile networks while leaving the physical hardware in place. Clever. Option 4, Faraday pouches and signal blockers. These are the low-tech solutions. Faraday pouches, the same kind used to block keyless entry signals on car keys, can in theory block the modem's cellular signal if the antenna is located somewhere accessible. In practice, this is difficult because the antenna for a built-in modem is typically embedded in the vehicle structure itself, often in the roof or windscreen. Signal jammers are illegal in the UK, full stop. Don't go there. Option 5, buy older. This is the most radical option, and the one that's driving increased interest in pre-connected cars. If your car was built before roughly 2016 or 2017, there's a good chance it doesn't have a built-in modem at all. It might have Bluetooth. It might have DAB radio. But it's not constantly phoning home. There's a growing segment of British buyers who are actively choosing older vehicles specifically for this reason. Not because they can't afford a new car. Not because they don't appreciate modern technology. But because they value their privacy and don't want to drive a device that's essentially spying on them. This is where we need to be fair, because it's not entirely a story of malevolent corporations deliberately doing wrong by their customers. The manufacturers will tell you, and they're not entirely wrong, that connected features deliver genuine benefits. Emergency call systems save lives. Real-time diagnostics catch problems before they become dangerous failures. Over-the-air updates can fix safety issues without requiring a dealer visit. Remote stolen vehicle tracking has helped recover thousands of cars. Ford UK commits to managing your personal information, including your connected vehicle information, fairly and in accordance with their privacy policies and the law. Most major manufacturers operating in the UK are bound by UK GDPR and have, at least on paper, privacy policies that detail what they collect and why. Michael Alsemgeest argues that the data of smart vehicles must not end up in a black box controlled solely by the vehicle manufacturer. He proposes a neutral third-party server, not controlled or financed by manufacturers, that would provide only aggregated data insights, thus protecting the privacy of individual drivers. That's actually a reasonable middle ground. Aggregate data about how certain roads are used, how often certain weather conditions trigger specific driver behaviors, that's useful, that's arguably acceptable. What's not acceptable is individual profiling of named drivers without proper, informed, meaningful consent. The problem is that the commercial incentive points entirely in the wrong direction. Individual data is more valuable than aggregate data. Manufacturers know this. And until regulation forces a change, or until enough customers take action to make the status quo commercially unviable, the incentive to collect as much as possible will remain. Let's put some numbers on this so you understand how significant the issue is. Around 2/3 of new cars registered in the UK are connected, sending data about the driver and the vehicle to the manufacturer. The number will rise year on year, with the expectation that 100% of new cars sold in the UK will be connected by 2026, according to the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, SMMT. 100%. Every single new car sold in the UK. Connected. Transmitting. And the number of connected cars on UK roads has been growing for years. Those millions of vehicles aren't just collecting data in isolation, they're building up detailed longitudinal profiles of driver behavior over months and years. The European Parliament raised the issue in 2025 after an alleged data leak affecting 800,000 electric vehicles, including data on the vehicle's location, battery levels, and engine activation. It was alleged that this data was easily accessible and could be matched to the vehicle owner's personal data. 800,000 vehicles. In one breach. And that was data that was easily accessible. Not from sophisticated hacking, just from poor security practices on the manufacturer's side. If your driving data leaks, and let's be honest, in the current landscape it's when, not if, that information could be used against you in ways that are difficult to predict and almost impossible to reverse. Not everyone faces the same level of risk from connected car data. But some groups have more reason to be concerned than others. High-mileage drivers. The more you drive, the more data exists about your patterns. Someone who commutes 60 miles a day has an extraordinarily detailed profile being built when they leave, which routes they prefer, their typical speeds, their driving style. Self-employed and freelance drivers. If your driving data reveals that you regularly visit competitor businesses, suppliers, or clients, information that in a commercial context might be genuinely sensitive, connected car data becomes a business intelligence risk, not just a personal privacy risk. Drivers in insurance disputes. If you're involved in an accident and it goes to dispute, the manufacturer may be legally compelled to provide driving data as evidence. That data might support your account, or it might contradict it. And you won't have had any say in how it was collected or what it captured. Domestic abuse survivors. This is perhaps the most serious and underreported risk. If someone fleeing an abusive relationship has a vehicle that's still connected to a manufacturer account that a former partner has access to, perhaps because it's a joint account, or because the car was previously registered in their name, that vehicle becomes a tracking device. This has happened. It's not hypothetical. Anyone who's bought a second-hand car. As we mentioned earlier, there are many examples of a previous owner remaining connected to a car weeks and months after selling it. If you've bought a used car in the last few years and haven't done a full factory reset, there's a possibility the previous owner can still access some connectivity features, including location data. Whether you decide to disconnect your modem or not, there are steps every British driver should take to get a handle on their connected car data situation. Step 1. Find out if your car has a built-in modem. Check your owner's manual. Look for terms like connected services, telematics, eCall, SOS call, or references to a mobile data connection. If your car was made after 2018 and you bought it new, it almost certainly has one. If it was made after 2018 in Europe, it mandatorily has an eCall system at minimum. Step 2. Read the privacy policy. Yes, actually read it. Specifically, look for what data is collected, who it's shared with, and what your opt-out options are. It's not going to be pleasant reading, but it's important. Step 3. Check your manufacturer's connected services app. Most manufacturers, Ford, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, and others, have companion smartphone apps. Log in and review your data sharing settings. Turn off anything you haven't actively chosen to enable. Step 4. Do a factory reset before selling your car. Ford UK specifically notes that drivers should do a master reset if they ever sell their car or buy a used vehicle equipped with a modem to ensure personal data and connectivity preferences are cleared. The same advice applies regardless of brand. Before handing over the keys, reset the infotainment system to factory settings. Step 5. Check what the previous owner left behind. If you've bought a used car recently, go into the infotainment settings and check for saved addresses, linked accounts, paired devices, and connected service profiles. If anything looks like it belongs to someone else, clear it. Step 6. Consider whether you actually need the connected features. Be honest with yourself. How often do you use real-time traffic updates versus the built-in sat-nav? Do you actually use the remote start app? Is the over-the-air update notification genuinely useful? For many drivers, most connected features are nice to have rather than need to have. If that's you, the trade-off calculation on disconnecting the modem might look very different. Step 7. If you want to disconnect, research your specific model. Every car is different. The location of the modem, the impact of disconnection on other systems, and the technical complexity of removal vary significantly. Before reaching for tools, spend time on mark-specific forums and owner communities. There are people who've already done this on your exact model and can tell you exactly what to expect. Step back for a moment, because there's something important to say here that goes beyond fuses and modems. We are living through a moment in history where the amount of data being collected about ordinary people, in their ordinary lives, has exceeded anything that would have been conceivable 20 years ago. Your phone tracks you. Your smart home devices listen to you. Your browser records everything you search for. And now your car, the space that many people think of as their own private sanctuary, their 40 minutes of solitude each day, is transmitting everything it knows about you to servers you can't see, controlled by organizations you don't really know. This isn't about being paranoid. It's about understanding what you're agreeing to. And critically, it's about whether you were ever really given a genuine, informed choice. Consent was the missing piece in the auto insurance data controversy. Customers were not given the awareness that vehicle data was being shared in the first place, let alone what that data could do. As a result, they were not given the opportunity to take accountability for their driving behavior. The argument from manufacturers is that connected features improve safety and convenience. The argument from insurers is that data-driven pricing creates fairer premiums. Both of those things can be true and still be compatible with the position that collecting all of this data, sharing it widely, and failing to properly inform drivers is wrong. Insurers must treat additional data from consumers as a privilege, not a right. That's the view of IMS, a telematics industry body. When even parts of the telematics industry are saying consent needs to improve, you know the current situation has problems. The drivers who are removing their car modems aren't tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. They're people who've read enough, understood enough, and decided that they want to make an active choice about their own data. That's not radical. That's just exercising a right that UK GDPR says you have. The regulatory picture is evolving quickly, and there are reasons to think the next few years will bring significant change. Europe has taken steps to address connected car risks. Regulations such as UNIS R155 and UN R156 require cybersecurity and software update management systems for type approval. GDPR sets rules for handling personal data, while the upcoming Cyber Resilience Act will introduce stricter security expectations for connected products. The ICO in the UK has been increasing its focus on emerging technologies and data rights. The potential for significant fines under UK GDPR, up to £17.5 million or 4% of global turnover, whichever is higher, means manufacturers have strong financial incentives to get their data practices right. Consumer awareness is the other key driver of change. As more British drivers realise what their cars are doing, as more stories emerge in the mainstream press, as more people share their experiences of insurance premium surprises or data breach scares, the pressure on manufacturers and insurers to clean up their act will grow. But that change will be slow. And in the meantime, every kilometre you drive in a connected car is potentially adding to a data profile that exists about you somewhere in a server farm, being processed by algorithms you've never seen, for purposes you've never been properly informed about? Here's the honest answer: it depends. If you rely heavily on connected features, live traffic, remote services, emergency breakdown assistance through the manufacturer's system, disconnecting your modem has real costs. You'll lose those features. And some of them are genuinely useful. If you rarely use those features, drive relatively straightforward routes, and are concerned about your privacy and data security, the calculation looks very different. You might lose little and gain significant peace of mind. What you should absolutely do, regardless of your decision about the modem, is be informed. Know what your car collects. Know who it shares that data with. Exercise the rights that UK GDPR gives you. And if you believe your data is being collected or shared without proper consent, report it to the ICO. The fact that smart British drivers are actively researching and disabling their car modems is a signal, a powerful one, that the status quo isn't working. Manufacturers and regulators need to hear that signal loudly. Because right now, the people listening most carefully aren't the ones building our cars. They're the ones driving them and deciding they've had enough. Thanks for watching. If this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know about, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps more people find it. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we cover the real stories behind the British motoring world that don't always make the front page. And leave a comment below. Have you checked your car's connected settings? Have you already disconnected your modem? I want to hear your story. See you in the next one.